What up, people? The State of Play just came out Wednesday and I really enjoyed it. I got introduced to some new games to be excited about while also getting some new information on some already announced games. And because I really enjoyed the State of Play so much, I wanted to quickly go over some of my favorite announcements from the showcase. Now, I won't be talking about all the games that piqued my interest, just like 5 or 6 that really caught my eye. But before we start, I want to let people new to the channel know that I make videos about single player games and I usually focus on RPGs. If that type of content interests you and you've been enjoying this video, hit the like button to help spread this video around. Alright, let's get started. The first game I want to talk about is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. It's a cool, fast-paced action platformer that gives me Messenger and Katana Zero vibes. I love the art style as well. It looks like a moving oil painting or something like that. The combat also looks really fun, and I'll be interested to know if this is coming to the Switch or Switch 2 because this feels like a game to be played handheld, but I guess I could always just play it on my Portal. Anyway, the game is coming out August 29th, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this one. If I'm being honest, the fact that the voice actress for Shadowheart is the main character in this game is a big reason I'm excited for Tides of Annihilation. Seeing the world and the few characters shown during the CGI moments mixed in with the music made it seem like it's going to be this big epic adventure in the way of like a Final Fantasy 16 or other action-based RPGs, if this even is going to have RPG elements in them. We also saw a little bit of traversal, and as someone who really appreciates games with good exploration, I hope that's a big focal point to the game. Speaking of Final Fantasy, the little combat we did get to see reminded me a lot of FF16 and also Rebirth, which has me very interested. Look, story-focused action-adventure games are my bread and butter, so if you add Shadowheart plus some RPG goodies to the mix, it's probably going to be a day one buy for me. If you're new to the channel, there's one thing you should know about me, is that I'm a huge Borderlands fan. Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and even though the story, villains, and humor in Borderlands 3 left a lot to be desired, and I mean a whole lot, gameplay wise, I feel it's the best in the series by far, which is why I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to improve this 4th entry into the mainline series. And thankfully, we finally get to see a little extended gameplay, and outside of the newly introduced grappling hook, so far it just looks like more Borderlands 3, which I'm not too mad at. We also got a decent amount of new information as well. Not only did we get a release date for September 23rd, I think it was, we also found out that Borderlands 4 is going to have their own state of play coming later in the spring. I always like when Sony focuses on one game for a state of play, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I know Borderlands 3 and the movie left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths when it comes to their opinion on the franchise, and as a huge fan of the series, I get that. Which is why I'm hoping that this next state of play does a good job at showing how much the gameplay, story, and humor has improved since 3. Next up is Directive 8020. Honestly, not much to say about this one. I love choice-based games, and ever since the Telltale Walking Dead series, I've been a huge fan of that genre. And despite me not being a big sci-fi fan, I'm always going to show support for these type of games. Now, Supermassive is kind of hit or miss with me when it comes to the games they make. One minute they'll put out Until Dawn, House of Ashes, and Little Hope, but then they'll also make The Devil in Me and Hidden Agenda. I'm still pissed about my ending in Hidden Agenda, but that's a story for another time. Probably won't be picking this up day one, but it's 100% going to get picked up. Sticking with narrative-focused games is funny because this one was apparently announced in 2023, but this state of play was the first I've heard of Lost Records' Bloom and Rage. Life is Strange True Color is one of my favorite choice-based games ever, and because of that, I typically keep up with Don't Nod and Deck 9 games, but this one somehow flew under the radar. It's a coming-of-age story between 4 girls, but they'll also be showing the women as adults. It's funny because seeing them go back and forth between kids and adults immediately reminded me of a TV show called Yellow Jackets, which I hope is the only similar thing these two have in common. We also found out that this game is coming to PlayStation Extra and Premium day one. Not only am I happy about this because I recently bought Premium, but I also want the game to get much more exposure, and putting them in PlayStation Plus day one will surely help with that. Speaking of PlayStation Plus, I heard we're also getting Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is great for me. But I digress. While Life is Strange Double Exposure has seen mixed reviews from players, including a lot of hardcore fans, I have faith that Lost Records Bloom and Rage will be at least solid. Okay, this next game was easily my favorite announcement as far as new games are concerned, and that's Digimon Story Time Stranger. I honestly had no clue that this game was being made. I really enjoyed my time playing Cyber Sleuth, but just assumed it was going to be a one-off. But the fact that we're getting a sequel must mean the game sold well, right? I've talked about Cyber Sleuth a couple times on my channel, and I always say that it's a better Pokemon game than Pokemon. The way the games let you Digivolve and also de-Digivolve to the point where you can pretty much acquire any monster you want is an amazing mechanic that just adds to the addiction this game provides. I played the first game on the Nintendo Switch, and even though I'm sure this is coming out for the Switch too, it'll be nice to play a Digimon game on a PlayStation console, which I haven't done since I think Digimon World 3. When it comes to this state of play, overall, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. I judge all these showcases the exact same way. Either show me something new, or if you're going to show me something I already know about, give me some new information like extended gameplay, release dates, demo drops, etc. And in my opinion, this state of play did that. I had some games I'm really looking forward to, like Digimon, Borderlands, and Tides of Annihilation, while also some other games I'm not as excited about, but I'll still be keeping an eye on, like Onimusha, Metal Gear, and that Octopus game. I know a lot of people are really disappointed with this state of play, and I'm not here to convince you that you're wrong. How you feel is how you feel. If you didn't think it was good, then you're right. However, I do think there's a small group of people who every time there's a state of play or Nintendo Direct, they set these high expectations for themselves and always leave disappointed. Now, could you make an argument that Nintendo and PlayStation sometimes feed into the hype? Sure, but I think a few people would really enjoy these showcases a lot more if they just tempered their expectations just a little bit. But that's just my 2 cents. More importantly, how did you feel about the state of play? What games are you most excited about, and why is it not Digimon? Like I said in the beginning, I mostly talk about single player games, and it's usually going to be RPGs I'm talking about, but I'll also discuss other genres from time to time. If you want more content from me, click one of the links on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.